So now we're chatting on the phone with Kathy Rove. Hi there, Kathy.
Hello, good morning.
We're talking about the incinerator, which is going to possibly be over near Hatfield, isn't it? Tell us about that.
Yes, the proposed site for this waste burner, this incinerator, is just on the edge of South Hatfield, very close also to Welham Green, and also very close to Coney Heath, which is just to the west of it.
Right.
And, of course, Coney Heath is part of St Albans.
OK, now, of course, we should just mention at this stage that you're obviously well, not obviously, but you are campaigning against it rather than supporting it. We should mention that. That's a fundamental thing here. So tell us about the main objections first of all.
Right. Well, the point is, at the moment, we're at an absolutely crucial stage in the campaign because a planning application has gone in. We've been campaigning with petitions and letters and protests for about 2.5 years. But now, the absolutely crucial stage, because the planning application's gone in, and if people want to object, which I'm sure they do, their objections need to be in by January the 31st. And they need to send their objection to New Barnfield Planning at County Hall, Hertford. You can email it, or you can just send a little letter. So that's really why I'm particularly speaking to you today, because it's such a crucial moment in the campaign that if people want to do something, now is the moment to do it, to send that letter of objection.
Right, now tell us how this might affect St Albans, because you're sitting over there somewhere out of St Albans City, I guess, are you? And, well, we're over here in St Albans. Is it actually going to affect us?
Well, it's certainly going to affect the eastern part of St Albans, which is Coney Heath and Smallford, because in fact Coney Heath and Smallford are really as close to it as South Hatfield and Welham Green. It is kind of between the three. It's a little site there on a very small piece of greenbelt land between those three places. So yes, it will affect St Albans in that way directly, especially the people of Coney Heath, because of course the people of Coney Heath will see it, because this thing would be 41 metres high. That's like a tall tower block of flats, and on top of that it's chimneys, and on top of that the plume of emissions coming out.
So we're going to get a bit of a smell over St Albans possibly, yes, for the east then?
Yes, and not a smell, just a smell, of course, what's in these emissions, these emissions coming out. So definitely, but of course it will affect everyone in the county, and this is our county council that has made so far a very wrong decision.
Now, it's an ongoing problem, though, isn't it? Where to put these things, because we've got to have them somewhere, haven't we?
Well, no, we haven't got to have them somewhere. And, of course, that's a lot of our case here, is that although there might be alternative sites which would be better, and there certainly are alternative sites that would be better, because alternative sites not so close to houses, and, of course, not immediately next to a school for children with special needs. I don't know if you know, that is the essence of the objection to this particular site,
right,
is that it's right next to a school for children with special needs, and it's very, very close to housing. So the site is totally unsuitable, but of course an incinerator is not necessary, and certainly not one of this size.
All right, how can you do without incinerators? What's the alternative there? Well,
this incinerator would be burning 380,000 tonnes of rubbish a year. Now, even Herts County Council admit that what they expect to have really is 180,000 tonnes a year. And even then they are being very conservative, because they have not taken into allowance the fact how much recycling will increase over the 25 years span of this incinerator. So this thing is far too big for any need for domestic waste. They would have to be bringing in commercial waste, industrial waste from all over the place in order to keep it going. It is absolutely enormous. And of course, Hertfordshire Bill would be paying for this, and paying for it in a very expensive way through a PFI loan, very expensive way to buy something, as is already very controversial in relation to hospitals and so on. Yes, so, but I think everyone, even if they're not worried about paying for it, they would, as people, object to putting this on this particular site, so near to homes, so near to vulnerable children. And, of course, creating a lot of traffic, too, which could specifically affect the people of St Albans, because it's going to have a huge impact on the junctions of the A1M at Junction 2 and Junction 3, which I'm sure a lot of St Albans people use, because there'll be masses of HGV vehicles coming around these roundabouts trying to access this site.
Right, now I'm not going to ask you to pick a place, but what sort of place is suitable for something that perhaps would be the smaller version that you're suggesting we should have?
Yes,
maybe?
well, smaller waste.
What sort of area? Don't name a village, for goodness sake. But
Well, no.
But what sort of area would be suitable?
There are areas of Hertfordshire where small waste treatment sites can be. I'm not talking about incineration, but small waste treatment sites. Obviously, if they're well away from homes, in areas that are not near places like schools, preferably not on Greenbelt, there are such sites, and Hertfordshire County Council have a whole list of such sites. Obviously, I can't name any. I don't know the details of every single possible waste site in Hertfordshire, but there are places, certainly, where smaller waste facilities could go, and we're talking about smaller. They do not need one centralised site. This is a terrible way to go about waste treatment because it puts all the impact on one community and all the traffic impact on one area, and actually increases the traffic because the traffic bringing the waste, for instance, would have to come, say, from Tring up, then they're saying to a waste, what they call a transit station at, say, Watford, and then it would have to come all the way up to New Barnfield. There'd be masses of moving rubbish around, which of course is what they say they don't want. They say they don't want this because it's expensive and it's, bad for the environment. But in fact, a centralised solution does cause that. You shouldn't have a centralised solution of any sort.
All right.
The waste should be treated near where it arises.
They would probably say it's more economical that way. But look, how do people find out more about this? And tell us finally, before we have to go with this, where we go for the get-together that you're doing.
Right. Well, it's not a get-together.
Well, I didn't mean that.
It's a planning objection.
Yes, sure.
You need to write it to New Barnfield Planning at County Hall, Hertford, or you can email. New Barnfield Planning will come up there. You need to email, and you just need to say you object to it and give your reasons. And this is very, very important at this moment because already we reckon we have about 1,500 objections in, but we want more than that, and we want them from St Albans people, as well as Hatfield people and Welham Green people and Brooklands Park people. And you asked me something else.
Well, yeah, my bad terminology made it sound like a bit of a jolly, but no, it's not a get-together, it's a meeting you're having, though, aren't you?
No, not a meeting. At the moment, no. We've had meetings and meetings and...
Oh, I see, right.
We're just asking people to send something.
Yeah, right, okay.
We're just asking people to send something at this crucial moment.
Yeah.
Whatever else they've done in the campaign, this would be the most important thing.
Right, so the deadline's at the end of the month.
The deadline is January the 31st at County Hall.
Right.
And you can send one as an individual, or you can get your little organisation to send one. Oh, you can do both, of course. If you're in, say, a wildlife society or something, you can object through that, and you can also object yourself. And you don't have to live near it to object. You can object on principle. Right. I would say every resident in Hertfordshire should be objecting on principle to putting a 380,000 tonnes a year waste incinerator next to a school with children who have particular needs, particular autism. They're going to be massively affected by the traffic going to it, if nothing else. The sight of it, it would be absolutely enormous. You said, where can they find out information? We have a website, www.hatfield-anti-incineration.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kathy. We'll chat again. We'll have to cut you off for the moment, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay,
but thank you ever so much indeed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers now.